Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we are looking at the Kyoto Revoltech SciFi Gigan figure. This is yet another piece that Revoltech did pre-SH Monster Arts, a figure that Monster Arts has yet to ever touch. Honestly, Monster Arts has tackled mostly the 90s era and a little bit of the 2000 era. The only Showa era figure they've ever really done is the 1964 Godzilla, which led me to want to go back to these older Revoltech figures and pick up some of the characters that Monster Arts hasn't done. Gigan is a favorite kaiju of mine. Godzilla vs. Gigan was one of the first Godzilla movies I ever owned, and I watched it so many times. There's probably a point I could recite it off the top of my head. So does this figure live up to my memories of that movie? Let's take a closer look. In standard Revoltech fashion, we get the nameplate, so I assume that says Gigan. Guessing that probably says Godzilla vs. Gigan. I can make out Godzilla clearly. And then 1972, the year of the film. Nice little triangular plastic stand, hole at the bottom for some reason, and hollow in the back. Get our standard Revoltech box. For whatever reason, we get these boxes, and of course our Revoltech coin. Maybe one day I could buy groceries with these because I spent all my money on toys. I must be able to use these for something, right? But beyond those very exciting accessories he comes with, we also get 3 buildings, which I'm so happy about. If you remember when I got the effect set from Monster Arts, it came with some buildings. I was thrilled to be able to use those for my dioramas, and these are 3 more pieces that have some very unique shapes that are harder to do with a papercraft building or something else that I've used. So they're very cool to me. We get these 2 kind of silo-ish buildings. Everything here is a silver plastic, so not a whole lot of paint detail at all. But we do have all the little stuff down here at the bottom. It's kind of an industrial park look. It's a square base, and these 2 silo pieces look pretty cool. We get a larger container, more of that same kind of random crap around the bottom, but you can see there's like a stairway going up the side here. Simple, but very cool looking. Having been playing the Godzilla game for the PS4 lately, it's kind of very reminiscent of some of the buildings you destroy in that. So it's hollow at the bottom. And then we get this taller section, which is really nice. More of the same stuff at the bottom, but these different kind of spires coming up. They all connect here together, and this piece being very, very tall. Too tall, in fact, because Gigan's going to come along. We're going to take that piece away and peg in the alternate version of it crumpled after being hit by a kaiju, which I think is awesome. Some great detail here where it's broken apart, scratches all through it. I love that they included a breaking effect for this building. So very, very cool. You could have it both pristine and messed up. For Gigan himself, he's definitely one of the more interesting looking kaiju that Toho ever did. Very crazy looking cyborg chicken. He has a silver beak here, the red inside the mouth, which if you look at the top, he even has a barb there at the very roof of his mouth that's just kind of gross and nasty. He does have teeth as well, because of course you need teeth with a beak. We do have his tongue nicely sculpted in there. These little side mandibles with a nice silver paint job. The eye is a translucent red, so you can kind of see through it, giving it that really nice effect. Some great black wash through his green paint here, just giving it this very nice dark look. Make out all the little wrinkles in the suit. He's got the silver spikes coming up off his head here, going down to the gold scales on his chest. Once again, that black wash really bringing out the scales. You have his buzzsaw here at the chest, which I'm surprised isn't a soft rubber. This is actually a fairly hard plastic, so do be careful with this piece. You could potentially break these saw blades off, which would really suck. Coming down to the arm, I feel like the color of the arm is very different than the body. You can make out it's kind of a lighter green, and they went a little heavier with both the wrinkles and the black wash here, which is a bit of a bummer. Then we do have the claw here at the end, a great hook shape. I love that the sides are more beveled. I just liked characters with giant hook arms, I guess, back as a kid, because I loved Gigan and I loved the T-1000, and they both have very similar arms at least one point in the movies. On the back here we have his fins, which are really, really cool. They're a softer rubber. They're a nice yellow. You see the gold coming up through them. The gold, once again, also doesn't match the scales completely, but it's pretty close, and they're tipped in black here in the middle, and you can even see the scales through the fins, which is really cool. Coming down to the tail, more of the scales, got more silver spikes coming up, and the spike here at the tip, which is very brutal looking. The legs, once again, matching the arms, being a little different than the body, but less of that black paint, but still more wrinkles in them than the rest of the body has, which is weird. And then we do have the nice silver toe there, the spiked toe. Base of the tail looks kind of cool too, because we do have the scales going on the middle, but then it goes to that smoother green. There is a little bit of paint slop here at the very bottom, but that's about the worst paint slop on this figure, which is pretty impressive. For articulation, Gigan has a hinge at the jaw, so it'll open very, very wide as well as close. I guess it's actually a Revoltech joint now that I look in there, but you really can't move it side to side much. We do have hinges here for the side blades of his mouth a little loose. They kind of flop around a little bit, but it's really nice that they will slide in and out. You don't have to worry about them going up and down on their own or anything. We do have a Revoltech joint at the base of the neck, so we'll look up and down as well as go side to side. Same at the base of his neck here, so you can go and turn around. Revoltech joint at the shoulder, so we'll go forward and back, out to the side. And we have a dual joint here at the elbow, which I think is a little awkward. I kind of feel like you just needed a slightly better joint at this upper section, and that would have worked better because once you get this end hooked around, it just looks very awkward and broken. I feel like you kind of need to keep the hook down to keep the continuation of the suit looking all right. So a lot of articulation, you just can't use too much of it. We have nothing in the mid-torso because of the saw blade here. We do have Revoltech joints here at the hips, but they don't go very far forward or back, and they're kind of just stuck at this awkward angle. We can go in and out with them as well as rotate the upper leg. A very nice joint at the knee, which will go pretty far back. And once again, they're using the kneecap to try to cover that joint the best they can, which is great. We can also swivel here at the leg. Foot also on a Revoltech joint, so we'll go forward and back as well as swivel, and you can pivot it if you move the joint the right way. The tail has a Revoltech joint at the base, so we'll go up and down, side to side, and the rest of the tail features a bendy wire, which feels more brittle in this one than the other Revoltech figures I have. I think it's because the tail is a lot thicker up here, very, very squishy material, and I just feel like there's more of a chance of breaking this wire than the others for some reason. And here's our Revoltech Gigan next to the Bandai Creations Gigan on the left, and the SH Monster Arts Gigan from Godzilla Final Wars on the right. And wow, this guy is short. Ironically, I got this Gigan the same day as I got that Mechagodzilla Chigoken figure. The Mechagodzilla dwarfed the figures I tried to put it next to. Gigan was dwarfed by the figures I tried to put it next to, creating a very awkward scaling all around. And you can see the Bandai Creations is roughly in scale with the Monster Arts, and this guy barely even comes up to his neck. And here he is next to the SH Monster Arts Godzilla 64, the only Showa era Monster Arts we have, so the one I'm most likely to pair Gigan up with. And yeah, he's still a little short. Not insurmountably though, but definitely needs to be taller to truly be in scale with the Monster Arts figures, which is odd because Anguirus and Baragon and Rodan all kind of felt like they worked, and Gigan is just that little bit shorter. So I put him also next to another diminutive Revoltech figure, the Daimajin figure. And these guys actually fit, I guess, in scale with each other, except for the fact that Daimajin is a much smaller character. I'm kind of torn as to whether or not I want to recommend this Gigan figure. He's cool, he looks great on his own. The detailing on him is really nice. My only real complaint with the articulation is at the hips, where it just gets a little wonky based on the shape of the figure. And Anguirus had the same problem too. I guess Revoltech's just not great with hips on some of these figures. But the size is a bit of a killer for me. And I recommended that Chigoken Mechagodzilla 2 wholeheartedly despite the size difference, just because he was an overall fantastic figure. And Gigan, he's alright. And when figures are just alright, it's hard to know whether to recommend them or not. And I feel like I usually do err on the side of recommending cool, decent figures. So Gigan definitely meets that mark. However, Gigan is also fairly pricey on the secondary market now. And I think the prices you're most likely to find him for aren't worth what you get out of this figure, especially if you're looking for a piece for your Monster Arts collection. When this originally came out, I think it was under 50 bucks, and the prices it demands now are well above that. So I think this is one of those pieces where you just gotta keep your eye out for a deal on them, and if you get lucky and find them for a good price, go ahead and grab them. So it's a weak recommend. Nothing great, but cool enough. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been our Outside the Box Reviews, Giant Monster Mania. Stay tuned for more to come.